dimineața. And I must start saying this. When I walked in here at around 7:15 in the morning and it was dark, I said, oh, nobody's going to show up. Who comes at this hour to listen to a guy talking about food? But nevertheless, I'm pleasantly surprised that you showed up, which is great, which is happy to see this initiative that you take to be in a platform where we can hear each other and we learn about each other. And to start with, I want to go into a straight confession. It's a pretty big of a paradox. Like when Andrea says, so Avi is going to talk about roots. Those of people who knows me, Farkash, Andrea, they know me as a pure nomad. I'm pretty rootless in certain aspect. I'm traveling through 3 different cities for the last 12 years per week to teach yoga and stuff like that. And if I go back to my roots, I'm not feeling very comfortable to share that. I started with having a childhood where I was hardly understood by anybody. I was dyslexic as a kid, and communication was the most challenging thing. Forget about talking in front of my 20 or 30 people. I will not talk to one-on-one. I prefer to stay with myself. And that continued for quite a few years. And there was a strong strive to connect with my parents, with my friends, to go out and play. But that was a big challenge and big gap that I couldn't manage. Long story short, by the time I was about 8 or something, my parents decided to take me to a monastery, ashram, that's how we call it, and to leave me there for a while to get civilized from my all ADHD qualities and stuff like that. It worked, because for the first time I realized the route that, well, not in this vocabulary, but the connection that I was trying to find outward is purely dependent on my connection with myself. And for a 10, 12-year-old kid, it works in a very different way. It's like you start learning to be comfortable with yourself. And it helped. Over the next years, by the time I was 23, 24, I have already lived in 9 countries, and worked there and did several projects and so on. So I do feel that if you are connected somehow with yourself, then no matter where you are, you can find the roots. Otherwise, like many of us, we might be belonging from Timisoara. How many of you are from Timisoara? As expected, so that would be like 15%. Yeah? And the rest of you, Arad, Lugos, Cluj, right? Nobody from India. Okay, so what happened to us? One day you decided, okay, I'm going to go to the university, and Timisoara University became a choice. You moved in, and you stayed back, you finished your education, you found a partner, settled in, right? So there's a change in where you are born, where you are growing. And that happens in our generation a lot. Do you feel connected to your roots?
Yes.
Do you take pride in sharing that, yeah, I belong to that small village 30 kilometers from Lugos? You know, normally when I'm talking to people and they're not from the big places, they always say, I'm from like 20 kilometers from somewhere, 30 kilometers from somewhere. Why? Because there's some amount of discomfort within us in telling, I belong to that small village next to Jimbolia, and that name is blah blah blah. See? So the relationship that we share with our like a physical root, the place we are born, is superficial and maybe very ritualistic. Adhika, I go to my home in Easter and in Christmas, eat the sarmale and the fiptur and come back. And you say, oh, I have been home. But if you have to stay at your home for a little longer, then you say, oh, Rami. My parents for so long, New Age. Does it happen to you? Okay, welcome to the club. So, yeah, it happens to me also. It happened to me also from time to time.
With some love?
Yeah, well, so we have to bridge that, we could bridge that gap. We could bridge that gap and get back to the roots. See, philosophically speaking, there cannot be any tree that can grow and flourish if it is not connected to the roots. It will not be able to absorb the nutrients, isn't it? For us, what's our roots? Is it my parents, Bunika Bunichi, my pets, and the place where I'm born? Partially yes, but there is also one root that we all are carrying within ourselves, is the certain values, certain education, and I'm not talking about the schooling education, life education, that we were born with, or that we went through in the first phase of our life. And when we lose contact with that, we experience a sense of, I would say, a homelessness. I might have, let's say, 1,000+ friends in Facebook, in social media. But when I turn my phone down, I feel lonely. I don't feel that somebody can understand when I'm talking. I don't feel a connection. I have acquaintances, but I don't have friends. Or the people whom we call these days friends, I have to be very careful about how I articulate myself when I express myself. So if you are going through something similar, that's an indicator that certain amount of connection with the people that you think are your roots needs to be worked upon. It's important in a sense for our spiritual evolution, for our deeper evolution, to feel that I belong. Now when we say that concept that you have to feel you belong, we normally say, oh, I belong to this social community, or I belong to this family, I belong in this relationship. No, I'm talking about, do I belong to myself? Are you connected to yourself? How much do you own who you are, not on the surface, when nobody is watching you, whatever you are, your authentic self, how much do you own that? Now, that's if you can analyze that aspect, you can figure out how profoundly or how deeply you are connected with your roots. Okay? And I would also talk about bringing authenticity in this connection with yourself first, and then also with your prime caregivers. You know, I hear a lot from the people I work with, and that's a pretty huge number. they talk. Oh, my parents don't understand. What I'm doing in a corporate structure, they don't understand. What I'm doing in Bucharest, they don't understand. And so they keep on telling a fabricated story. In the evening or 2 times per week, you pick up the phone and you call, Mommy. And Mommy says, "Cum ești, fetița mea?" or whatever. And you say, "Oh, totul bine, am fost, am mâncat. Oh, thank you for sending the brinza," and God knows what you say. But do you really want to say that? Yes, but there might be something more. And how many, please raise your arm, how many of you wish I could talk more openly to my parents? Great. How many of you feel like sometimes when you try to tell them something, they don't understand? Okay, we'll talk. So, what do we do about that? What do we do about it? Should we give up? Giving up would indicate the beginning of a decay. So, a connection has to be maintained, even if your roots are passing through the rocks and the boulders and not able to reach to that depth from where it can, pull in the water, but still the roots has to go deep. And that means engaging into conversation which is non-violent. It's not my way or your way. A process could be established where you can really communicate to your caregivers, because that's your primary source of getting that spiritual energy, nourishment. Another area that we as an adult, if you are anything above 13 years old, which most of you are, then your relationship is, your roots are not only your biological parents and your family. Your roots is also the connection that you have with the nature. Okay? And by this, it's not like, do I take a walk in Poduria Verde or do I go to Valiub and Semenic on the weekend? No, it means you step out of your house before you even enter your car. Wherever you stand, do you feel that I belong to this earth, to the paman on which I'm standing? I mean, logically, yeah, of course, I'm here, where do I belong? I don't belong in somewhere else. But that bonding, do you look up, admire the nature around you? And that could mean one dry tree. That's all you have got. Half dead. But still, do you have a relationship with that? What's the difference between we and a tree? The tree is rooted on the earth, and it will live its entire life from there. Our thing is, we will be walking on the earth, but still the contact with the earth will remain from the day one, even after we are gone. Isn't it? So how do we maintain that connection? How do we nourish that connection? Can be a very important way to enhance the relationship with the roots. Another thing that comes in my mind is there's some practice that we all can do on a daily basis that can help us to enhance this relationship. One of the things is gratitude. How do you say? Mulțumire, right? Now, gratitude is a very commonly used word these days. Everybody's talking about be grateful. Be grateful. There are several things in this country that you might not be very grateful for, and you want things to change. So gratitude is not always having that flower power attitude and saying, "Oh, totul este vida." No, not everything is good. But there is always something good. Even if you're talking about your relationship with your childhood. If you had a good childhood, that's fantastic. But if you had a troubled childhood, could be with domestic violence, could be with the caregivers who had a broken marriage or anything, that's epic. That's far better because that educated you in an experiential way to confront life. Now, being grateful doesn't mean to look at that and say, "Oh, it was so wonderful." No. Being grateful means observing and trying to find out, can I find one bukatsika of Cheva that shaped my character, that made me more strong, that helped me to nourish myself. I thank all those kids who bullied me. And I thank them. If they wouldn't have done that to me as a child, I would have never, I think, had the courage to stand up in front of a bunch of people and to talk without shaking. So I'm thankful for those people. I'm also thankful for my geography teacher who presented the whole atlas of the world like, "Oh, you could live everywhere, you can just travel and there's..." It's a storytelling, what she did. But for a young mind, you would realize that, okay, the world is without borders. Or the borders are only politically, demarcation. You are human, you're one. So, I'm sure we can look and find something that we connect and we can be thankful from our past. And maybe the next stage of gratitude that we very often don't practice, and I would highly recommend you to practice that, is you connect with yourself and say, what are you grateful about yourself? There are certain qualities in you, certain nature in you, which is helping you to express your uniqueness. And I'm not talking about that you are good at something. No, I'm talking about what defines you to be unique. What is that thing you connect with? You feel that that's me. That's me. I mean, I can make the best prăjitură. I should not eat it or whatever, but I still make it. So you have to connect with something like that. And then from there will come infinite source of power that will help you to go further. How in Romanian we would say încredere, self-trust. Self-trust is knowing, at the first place is knowing what I am, what I'm made of. Then you can go to the step 2. So, will you be interested to join me for a short meditation?
Yes.
Nobody will levitate though. It's just a short guided process. Like I'm moving very fast in sharing all of these things. I normally do a week-long workshop on this subject, and I cannot really express everything in such a short time. So the invitation is, will you be interested?
Yes. Yes.
So the first thing first, will you keep both the feet on the ground? Let's get grounded. And if you have a cup of coffee, gently place it somewhere. You can rest your hands on your lap. And now the most part of the meditation process is to keep your eyes closed. Oh my God, people are watching me. How do I look? Should I keep smiling? This is strange. So all of these voices will come from inside. And I invite you to listen to those voices. Now, nevertheless, as I was mentioning you that we all are a little bit of homeless in the sense the way that we don't connect with ourselves. Now take a moment to get back to your home. Adhika, to your roots. And this home is your physical body. Now as you connect with your body, what do you feel? Do you feel at home, or do you feel this is like an Airbnb apartment, I'm just visiting, I'll be here for a while and I can't wait to step out? Try to explore the different areas of the body and the feelings that you are nesting within the physical body. Some tightness, tension, some strange feelings maybe a bit of numbness. And then you shift your focus to your breath. And pay special attention to your exhalation. When you're breathing out, try to make your shoulders a little more soft. Try to make your jaws a little more relaxed. And I hope I'm not going to ask too much if I request you to add a bit of smile. Just a bit enough that you know you are smiling. You're not smiling for me or anybody else. You're smiling just for yourself to feel a state of relaxation. Now we bring in the metaphor of a tree. And you visualize your legs, the whole lower part of the body, hip down, are the roots. Deeply rooted to the earth underneath you. Your back, which is upright and tall, is the torso, is the trunk of the tree. And your arms, neck, and the head are the branches, soft, relaxed. Now when you connect with your roots, try to remind yourself, what do you carry from your past to your present? What values, education, culture, rituals, and try to transmit a feeling of gratitude towards everything that you have borrowed from your previous generation, from your caregivers. And then you shift your awareness to the back, which is upright and tall, to the trunk, which represents you with your strengths. So there are certain qualities that you will never give up because they define who you are. Take a moment to connect with those qualities and thank yourself for being who you are. Now shift your focus to the arms, neck and head. And they represent the creative aspect of you. Just like how we are here in the Creative Morning event, your arms and head represents how you embrace life, how you invoke creativity in your day-to-day life. Connect with that aspect as well. And please take 3 deep breaths in and out. Spend a moment to feel the connection that you are having with your inner self, with your home, with your roots deep inside. And then in your own time, you can gently open your eyes. Once we are able to connect with our deeper self, we can also connect with others. And then we experience the oneness. In Eastern scriptures, it says, I am you, you are me, we are one. And that oneness can be experienced only and only after I am totally, completely connected with myself, with my roots. Thank you.
Now it's hard to to continue, but if you guys have questions, now it's the time. No one? Yet? I have one then. Can you share a bit how you gotten into photography and how you discovered that way of expressing yourself, your creativity, your experiences?
Yeah. When you are not able to communicate to others, you start talking to yourself. And the self-communication that started with me as a kid, when I was having trouble in telling people that there's so many beautiful things around us, I eventually picked up a Kodak point and shoot film camera. And that was one of the best things that I received as a gift as a child. And every now and then I will go out and take pictures of cows, dogs, buffaloes, and weird things. And and that continued for the last 20, 30 years now, just as an appreciation of the beauty that is present around us. And not to show someone that look what I have clicked for you, but that is my way of talking, of saying mulțumesc to the nature, or something beautiful that I have seen. I think that for several artists and creative people, they have shared something similar as well. So they do something that is their own expression, not to get validation from outside. So that's my story with the photography. Just a moment.
Yeah, I have one more question if no one's ready yet. Go ahead.
What is your inner strength that you are most thankful for?
Vulnerability. My strength is vulnerability.
And what's that? Sorry.
Most of the time I know that I don't know, and I'm very comfortable about not knowing. So that leaves me a space to learn and to experience. And I think that's one quality I would like to cherish for the rest of my life. I'm also super comfortable in just standing and talking in front of people, so I learn. Vulnerability also invokes certain amount of authenticity, and I would like that as also to say that I cannot say I'm like Suta, honest, authentic person, seriously. But I try and make an attempt to be authentic, to be as much as possible.
Please.
What's the last thing that you learned from another person?
Like last thing, like what was really the last thing?
Well, something that another person taught you, because you were just talking about being vulnerable and continuously learning. What's something that you recently learned from somebody else?
I'll tell you an experience from the last week actually. Last Tuesday, I was bragging to some friends of mine, like how if you practice yoga, you can improve your immunity and stuff. And so I spoke, I think, for half an hour about all that stuff. And from Wednesday onward, for the next 5 days, I was down with the flu. So I don't know if that counts. So when you know you're in flu and having a 40 fever lying in the bed, and how long can you scroll, then you eventually start thinking about, please take good care of your ego. Don't brag, you know. So that was one of the very recent learning in my basket. Yeah. And if you say what's the last thing that I've learned, is what I learned from you guys this morning. I was literally not expecting so many vibrant people showing up. I mean, you know, the morning classes where I give, people are like, zombie. You came like here. That's impressive. So yeah, that I learned about Timishara. I'm changing my mindset. So thank you.
Amelia, please.
How many years did you spend at the monastery, and what are like the core values that you learned there?
I don't have a very, like, it's not a, you enter and you exit, but like, no, it's not like a, like a module. But I've on and off, starting at the age of about 12, 8, I started going, and every year I spent a few months, at least a month and a half in the monastery. And in my early years, it used to be like all the vacations used to be in monastery along with the schooling. And then when I finished my mainstream education, I moved in, and then I stayed for a longer period. If I sum up, it's few years. And monastery is like, have you seen this movie, Enter the Dragon? No, you guys are not into such movies. It's a Bruce Lee movie kind of thing, yeah? So there is a fight scene where this guy is stuck in a room, and the whole room is covered with mirrors. And he could see his reflection in several from angles. Monastery is just like that. You go there and you get to see your limitations from several angles. The beauty about monastery is there is nobody staying there to judge you and say, "Tu niste bine, stai jo spatru." No, nobody's going to say that. If you are not good at something, they give you the opportunity to work on it and get better. So this is one of the quality that I cherished a lot from monastery, not being judged and offered a platform where and still I'm doing that, working on my limitations. And you guys should come. Anytime you decide to come, can I say one?
Yeah, of course.
I organized 2 trips to India, one at a pretty high altitude in Himalaya, about 5,600 meter, a yoga retreat in the summer. Once you get bored of Retezat, come with me. No, I love Retezat. Yeah, that you can do, or there are trips that I organized to go into the monastery and really dive into not practicing yoga, but living yoga. It's a different thing. It's not only on the sadhya, but learning about yourself. And that happens when you're cooking, when you're cutting vegetables, when you're helping somebody. And it's a beautiful experience. So you're invited.
Questions? Yes. Or listen, la prima.
What brought you here to Romania?
A flight. Carrier, Boeing 707. My work, my ex-wife, she's Romanian. But that's the shortest answer I give when I want to escape. It was not like that. Before I moved in Romania, there was several events that happened in a very short span. After my master told me, Avi, you could work in Eastern Europe. And I was sharing this with someone this morning. At that point, and with all respect now towards Romania, my knowledge about Romania was 3 things. The girl I was dating, Nadia Kamenic, and Haji. End of the story. Yeah? I didn't know anything. I couldn't even literally point where the Romania is in the EU map. But then I moved in with a very clear idea. I'm going to leave in 3 months. Just I'm here to explore. And now it's 12 years. This is my home. My roots are here.
If we are new into yoga, what are the exercises or things that we can do on a daily basis to get more into the
I love this
mindset?
question. Thank you for asking. That's purely from my training. Forget about yoga for a moment. No. You look into yourself and you check what are the different dimensions that you have. You have a body, you have a mind, you have emotion. And the nourishment and also the energy. Nourishment should be offered in all these dimensions, like how you need a protein, minerals, vitamins. So you do something for the body, a little bit of mishkara, that you can learn. You go to join a yoga class, yoga course, your teacher will teach you, no problem. Now when you learn that, you identify what are your needs. Maybe you spend all day in front of a calculator and working, making programs. Your back is tight, you have a back pain, your circulation is bad, right? Or maybe you are a dentist, you're working using, I have a lot of stomatologists coming to the class, that's what I'm saying. So you have a specific way of doing it. You need to maintain a good health. Your core muscle should be strong enough. Yeah? You do based on that. Maybe you are driving all day long. You need something to calm down. So identify what are your physical needs. Then identify what are your mental needs. All day if your mind is like zzz, functioning like that, maybe your need is to become a little more linear. Or let's say you're an accountant and all that you see, think, feel, smell is numbers. It's time to get a little more creative with your mind. Creative visualization, so that can be incorporated as a meditation. Talking about emotion, what are your emotional needs? Each one of us present in the room has a very different emotional need. Somebody wants to get a hug and to feel safe. Somebody wants to express love. Somebody wants to, you know what I'm talking about. Based on that you go and do the practice. If I'm copy pasting the need of Andrea on me and Farkash is copy pasting my need on him, we are going to create a big chorba. An apple has to live the life of an apple. It cannot become a banana. But if you're an apple, be the sweetest apple possible. So identify that need and then you do Chaitreya. So identification of the need is the step one. Then you design a very individualized wellness program, which should include gratitude. That's.
Are you teaching yoga in Gujarat?
Mm-hmm.
Where?
Every Thursday evening I teach. I started teaching yoga in Timisoara. 12 years back, my first class was very close to your Balchescu church. You have the house of the church in the attic. And there were 3 monks, a Kaluga, 4 university students, 2 Italian, 2 Filipino. Beautiful class we used to do. Yeah? But then things changed. So I have a school in the entrance of Dumbravica. When you go take the Strada Constructorilor, you go towards the forest, and there is a Strada Lucia Forilor. There I have a house where we teach group yoga classes. And not only me, there are other teachers also from the tradition. They are teaching there. You're very much welcome to come and explore. Or you can also, now this is getting technical, modernized version, you can join an online class. I have an online meditation class every Tuesday evening from 8 p.m. Just turn on your iPad, iPhone, and it's a Zoom platform.
Do the people that join the online version feel connected?
Very much. The connection is not needed between the teacher and the student, though it is important. The connection is within yourself. The teacher is like the GPS. It tells you, merge left, take right. So if you follow the guidance, you end your destination. You end up in your destination. So I don't see there is any reason for someone not to feel that. And more or less, give it a try. We have this, let's say, all this publicity offers. First class is not free and stuff. So come and try. You like it, fine. If you don't like it, we say in Bucharest, Tepu Papa.
Questions? Because I have one. Coming back to you, coming to Romania, I'm always interested in what did you find similar to home? Because on one look you would say, oh, Romania and India, they were so different. And of course we don't share salmon and stuff, but I'm sure we do share stuff. And I'm interested what resembled home in Romania, or what make you feel connected, yeah.
There are several things that is similar between India and Romania. On a serious note, one of the things is the family value. Indian families are also pretty closed. Romanian families are also similar. In Indian family, if you are an outsider, you might be judged or put into a test before they allow you to step in. Once you are stepping, there is no more difference. You become the family member. Exactly the same in Romania. Now, today, I say this not just as a word, but I truly feel I belong to a huge family here in Romania. And literally that has happened. I can make a phone call in the middle of the night and there will be 20 friends coming. And they can call me and I will be there. So it is a very closed bonded thing about Romania and India, I feel that. Now on the funny side, similarity between Indians and Romanians, these are the two countries we love to complain. Indians wake up in the morning, they make their tea, you make your coffee. But while having the tea, Indian will complain about something that they cannot change. So as the Romanian. What can you do? Can you do something? No, you have to live with this. Asta este. When it snows, oh, Indian. When it doesn't snow, uită-te. So this is similar. We Indians and we are weird.
Questions? Thoughts? Yeah. Me?
Did you know, maybe you know that in Jewish, Avi means my father? Like me.
That's scary.
That's the meaning of the word.
I was told the meaning of Avi is Abraham or something like that.
Yes.
That might mean something.
Yes.
So my full name is Avisek. Eventually, when it came to Romania, it got half. Because somebody was telling me Avi and Sheikh. Sheikh is like, and I was sarac to be called as a sheikh. I said, hey, just call me Avi, I'm good with that. So, yeah, if the Avi means my father, huh?
Yeah, and I have another
This I have to
question.
make a post in Facebook.
For you, what's the important, do you have a mentor, a master, something, is this important in the life of somebody, like in the evolution?
Yeah.
So there's the question,
Yeah, it's super important. You have it also. Somebody taught you maths, somebody taught you accounting, somebody taught you physics, somebody taught you biology, somebody taught you yoga. So there are dimensions where you have a mentor, right? Now what you might be asking me is, do you need a spiritual mentor? Of course, does spirituality matters to you? Maybe from the surface you will say, not really. But spirituality is like the thread that passes through all other beads of a garland. So yes, we need to have a spiritual mentor. Spiritual mentor is like the one who has walked the path and can tell you how to go. There is no babysitting, nobody is carrying you on your shoulder, but somebody who has been there, so he can tell you, take this road, this is gonna work. All the more reason to have a spiritual mentor, because spirituality is the invisible dimension of life. We don't see it. So, thing that you don't see and you want to walk and you have no clue how to do that, good luck with that. You definitely need somebody to tell you. And somebody who's authentic, who took care of their own guna, He might also have now trash, but he is authentic and says, okay, știi asta pot, asta nu pot, asta știu, asta nu știu. It's a very simple thing. So yeah, I would highly recommend. You didn't ask, but I will still say this. Don't pick a spiritual mentor by checking the social popularity. These are not the quality to judge who could be your spiritual mentor. You have to have certain amount of physical connection, presence. You have to feel the vibe, and then you say, okay, can I surrender to this person? Yeah. And then that person becomes your mentor.
What is the thing that you would like to change in yourself during this life?
A few years back, I was aspiring to get a six-pack, but then I gave up. So now there are several things. I am really trying my best to be authentic. Be authentic is the sense, I'm not trying consciously to be good. I'm not also trying to be bad. So don't get me wrong. I'm trying to be myself. And in this process, I pay attention on how external situations, aspirations dilute the motivation. It's very easy to get deviated. You want to be yourself, but then you see the prejitura there. And there are such temptations around, all around. I'm not referring to the prejitura outside. I'm just saying as a metaphor.
Questions, thoughts, ideas? Do you want to ask some questions, Avi?
What? Yeah. Okay. Believe me, yeah, I can ask. What would be your takeaway from this talk that we had today? So I'm kind of like asking, not a feedback, but what is your takeaway? What could be one idea that you connected with and you might like to implement it, if there is any?
To connect more with ourselves in any possible way that resonates with us.
Yes.
Gratitude.
And that's a success. Out of 50 people, 2 people have something.
Well, the rest are still meditating on it. It's work in progress, but we promise we'll share, we'll send a message on it. Yes.
So you said that you were expecting less energy and fewer people to come, and I had the same feeling yesterday evening. I said, "Oh shit, I have to get up in the morning." It was not difficult. So I imagined it would be difficult. It was not difficult, and it was so nice to see the room filling up and your talk and meditate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a mutual. It's a mutual. We are, I say this in the yoga classes a lot, and it's not just a saying. I truly believe we are all like in a big borkan of Muratosh, all contributing to each other. It's a huge energy field. We're all connected. You like it or not, but we are connected. So that's why, if you think positive, if there are 10 people in the room, and there are 7 people thinking positive, the other 3 will be positive. Very unknowingly. But if you are harboring negative thoughts, then you contaminate that. So today what happened, and literally, I didn't have a speech or something in my head. I said, okay, we will talk about something. So you came and I looked at you guys and you're like, there was a certain amount of vibrance that you got with yourself, which is wonderful. So I thank you for helping me with your vibrant image.
You were talking about the Balkan, and I was thinking that we are in another jar here, because usually we had the meetings in the old place. And then I thought that if the jar does not influence because it's the container, I would like to thank you for reminding us to come together every time, even if it's another Balkan.
Well, it's a
virtual
joint
Balkan.
effort. Yeah. It's a mutual effort, and it's in terms of gratitude. It's what makes us as a team go on, and what drives us to keep on doing what we do, because we have the same feeling of, oh shit, we have to wake up. And I met with Ina last night, and she was like, oh, I'll see you in the morning. And I was like, in the morning? Where will we see? Oh man, yes, we'll see each other in the morning. Yeah, so we feel the same, and we also feel it's really important. Though technology helps, and social media and being connected around the world made this concept possible as well. I think these kind of encounters are so unique and precious,
Yeah.
and we have to pay it forward, keep it going. So we thank you as well.
Can I say something to it?
Yeah, of course.
In Buddhism, there is one of the prime principles they talk about, it's called Sangha. Sangha means tribe, not a cult. Please don't get confused here. You need to create or be part of a tribe where you feel that you are connected to. What happens, let's say you go every Friday evening for tango, right? All of you do. Now, just because you are part of the tribe, if one day you are not like, should I go and should I not? And you know that there's a bunch of people who are waiting, you will do that. So the tribe helps you. And the same happens with the food selection. Now you have, your New Year's resolution is, become vegetarian, and you became a raw vegan, hypothetically speaking. And now your 5 friends are all into Costa and Fictura, and you go out in the evening for a dinner. What are the chances that you will order a salad? Pretty high. No, you might do that once, twice, but then you have this social pressure that will consume you. So I use the word, and I know that it is normally has a very high chance of misinterpretation, that you have to discriminate. You have to discriminate around whom you want to be. And if I can quote a saying from my master, he used to say, in a basket of 100 apples, if you have 1 apple which is spoiled, 99 apple cannot fix it. 99 good apple cannot fix that 1 spoiled apple. But 1 spoiled apple can contaminate 99. Maybe it is contradictory to what I was telling you earlier a bit. So choose your ambience so that you don't get contaminated by people's energy or situations.
Yes, please.
How can we find a spiritual master? How can we...
Google. Chases it. There are two answers to this. Spiritual masters doesn't only live in the Himalayan foothills. Yeah? One said that you cannot find a spiritual master in a shopping mall. Western culture is way much into this materialism. I don't know where can you find here. Maybe there exists. I personally haven't met. So my indication, if you ask me, my personal suggestion will be still make some trips to India. And don't pick the good looking one with the matted hair and stuff. Spend time. Give time and the master will appear. So the scripture says is when a student is ready, the master appears. So it will happen. If you are ready, the whole universe will conspire to bring you to the right place. You will end up in an event like this and you will say, yes, let me buy my summer tickets to Himalaya.
And now we're getting closer to 9 o'clock and some of you have to get to work. But if you don't hurry and you want to spend some more time, do you have some more time? Okay, then we can also keep on talking to Avi privately. But yeah, thank you, Avi, first of all.
I thank you.